Should there be limits on police canines? Legislators say so. We hear from Chief Nisleit.
Plus, we're learning more tonight about a shooting in Baja that killed 10 people, including 3 San Diegans.
Cleaning up around homeless encampments throughout San Diego. I'll have more on a pilot program that's now permanent to do just that.
The debt ceiling could impact thousands of families in San Diego who rely on food banks.
And from Poway High to the Royal Conservatory of Scotland, Katie Kim is about to hit the high note of her career.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts now. We begin with breaking news. A 21-year-old man is under arrest tonight, accused in the deadly shooting in front of the Central Library in the East Village. Good evening, I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Jesse Pagan in for Carlo Cicchetto. The suspect is in custody right now. CBS 8's Jenny Day is in the newsroom to break down the information police just sent out. Jenny?
Yeah, really a sigh of relief tonight with an accused killer behind bars. The shooting happened Tuesday in broad daylight. Families and business owners were forced to flee or hide. So police say the suspect in the pink mask who opened fire is identified as 21-year-old Kenneth Cheney. A pretty clear surveillance images there of him had been circulating. San Diego police say that they tracked him down and made an arrest just about 3 hours ago in the area of 15th Street and University Avenue. He was booked on multiple charges, including murder. 2 people were shot that day. 1 man died there at the scene. He's been identified as 20-year-old Trey Walker. The second victim in this case is a 24-year-old man who remains in the hospital tonight. Police tell us he was shot in the lower part of his body and is expected to survive. As far as a motive, the homicide unit says there was an altercation between the 3 men over a stolen backpack. The victims in this case apparently confronted the man who allegedly shot them. It really was a frantic scene on Tuesday afternoon. Gunfire and wounded men down in the street right out front of the library on Park Boulevard. You can be sure this investigation is ongoing and we will stay on top of it. Live tonight in our newsroom, Jenny Day, CBS 8.
Jenny, thanks. Our other top story tonight, should there be laws that limit the use of police dogs in California?
A new bill aims to restrict law enforcement canines. CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes is digging into this for us tonight, talking with several people, including San Diego's police chief. Kirsten?
AB 742 would ban the use of police dogs for arrests, apprehensions, and crowd control all across the state of California. Supporters of the bill say officers have a long history of targeting and brutalizing people of color with police dogs. Law enforcement departments all across the state of California have come out against the law, saying that they use dogs as de-escalation tactics to prevent loss of life.
Everything's about de-escalation, but yet this bill would take away our best de-escalation tool.
San Diego Police Chief David Nisleit says AB 742 is counterintuitive to de-escalation because he says canines help keep suspects alive.
And now you're looking at officer injuries, you're looking at officer-involved shootings. People are going to die that don't need to.
There's no data to show that, and we should live on the data rather than, sadly, the police explanation of why a certain reform bill shouldn't be utilized.
Cephas Johnson, or Uncle Bobby X, is Oscar Grant's uncle and an activist with Families United for Justice.
They're portraying what I believe to the public is that the ask is to get rid of canines. That's not the ask. The ask is to take this use of force tool that you have and set some guidelines to when a dog can be released to bite.
AB 742 would prohibit the use of an unleashed police canine by law enforcement to apprehend a person unless the person is being pursued for a felony that threatened or resulted in the death or serious bodily injury to another person. Chief Nisleit says SDPD is already adhering to stringent protocols for how and when canines are used. SDPD training also exceeds the minimum California Post recommendations.
It's a reactive tool. So somebody has to commit a violent crime or having a violent scenario before our canines come.
And we have had plenty of incidents, if not but for that police canine showing up on scene, officers would have had to shoot that person.
SDPD Canine Lieutenant Chris Tavanian says
there should be a minimum level of training, just like any other force option that police officers are allowed to employ.
The author of the bill, AB 742, Assemblymember Dr. Corey Jackson of Paris, California, sent us a statement saying, quote, "I firmly believe it is the utmost importance to properly regulate police K-9 units in the state of California." The statement goes on to say, by establishing limitations on the use of police dogs, we can minimize unnecessary risks while maintaining public safety. Let us prioritize the well-being of all Californians, fostering trust and accountability between law enforcement and our communities. Now, to be clear, AB 742 does not call for the ending of the use of canines. The bill does act to legislate use because there are no state or federal laws for how canines are used right now. SCPD says they are leaders in law enforcement because they are exceeding those guidelines that are not laws when it comes to the use of canines. You can read more about the use of canines here in our city and how they're trained in a statement on our website, CBS8.com.
It's at least raising the important discussion. I think we've seen a lot of these canines being used because the body-worn video is now standard. This isn't a law just yet, but it is raising dialogue. What's next for it?
Yeah, it's going to make its way through the legislature. It's already passed one committee. Next, it will head to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. So we'll keep you posted.
Absolutely. Kirsten Holmes for that on us tonight. Kirsten, thank you.
The district attorney's office has cleared 3 sheriff's deputies and 1 San Diego police officer in the deadly shooting of a woman in Little Italy. This case made headlines in March of 2022. The disturbing body camera images were released then. 47-year-old Yan Lee was shot and killed inside her condo building after she stabbed a San Diego police officer. They were trying to serve her with an eviction notice and say she answered the door holding a knife, accusing them of being fake police officers. The DA believes the woman was having a mental health crisis, but says she was still, quote, an imminent threat to officers. Lee's son is suing the city, county, and the deputies and police officer involved, saying they escalated the situation. A man is in custody tonight after law enforcement says he shot at his neighbors in Lemon Grove, then barricaded himself inside his home for hours. This happened on Longdale Drive. The standoff with SWAT lasted about 7 hours. The 28-year-old man, as you can see right here, did walk out and surrendered peacefully a few hours ago. Deputies tell us the man is a military veteran and was armed with an AR-15. Deputies say the neighbor he shot will be okay. She was the only person hurt by bullet fragments in the shooting.
We're learning more tonight about a mass shooting in Mexico over the weekend that killed 10 people, including 3 men from San Diego. The shots broke out in San Vicente, Baja California, 50 miles south of Ensenada. As CBS 8's David Goffredson reports, increased security is now being planned for the unaffiliated Baja 500 race next week.
Cell phone video of the mass shooting Saturday afternoon shows men with semi-automatic weapons opening fire on a Can-Am side-by-side vehicle reportedly driven by a drug cartel member. Hundreds of side-by-side Razor-type vehicles were participating in the annual Cachañazo Tour, which is not a race but more like a rally where off-roaders drive from Ensenada to San Vicente on both paved and unpaved roads through the coastal mountains. This is new drone video of the crime scene. The gunfire broke out in front of a gas station in San Vicente, about 50 miles south of Ensenada and more than 120 miles from the international border in San Ysidro.
These guys, at the moment that they were attacked, some of them were fueling their cars on the gas station, some others were just listening to music, and some others were buying beer on a convenience store.
3 U.S. citizens were killed: Roberto Alaya, Roberto Macias, and Josue Herrera, all from San Diego. Their families said they were innocent bystanders in the shooting, caught in the crossfire while participating in the popular off-road rally.
They are treating the Americans as victims and not suspects.
Veteran reporter Vicente Calderon with TijuanaPress.com says officers arrested 3 men earlier this week, but they are not believed to be the gunmen.
They think that they are associated to the same cell that was involved with the killing, but they are not suspects of being part of the hitmen, so to speak.
The Cachañazo rally is not affiliated with the SCORE Baja 500, which is an off-road race that begins and ends in Ensenada, but does not travel through the town of San Vicente. The Baja 500 does bring thousands of spectators from the United States and is set to run from May 31st to June 4th. SCORE put out a statement expressing condolences to the families of the shooting victims and saying, quote, "There will be increased security measures, including municipal authorities, National Guard, as well as the Mexican Army and Navy along several sections of the Baja 500 route." David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
Thank you, David. The U.S. State Department has posted an alert online urging Americans to reconsider travel to Baja, Mexico due to crime and kidnappings. The post says travelers should stay on main highways and avoid remote areas. A man who killed his father in Rancho Santa Fe will spend the rest of his life in prison. Leighton Dory IV was sentenced today to life in prison without the possibility of parole for killing Leighton Dory III in May 2017. Prosecutors say the 45-year-old spent 4 years living in France before he showed up at his dad's home in Rancho Santa Fe and killed him over a, quote, perceived lack of financial support. The 71-year-old victim was beaten and strangled. A guilty verdict came in a second trial after a hung jury in the first one.
Congress adjourned for the holiday weekend without reaching a deal to raise the debt ceiling. Local nonprofits say if Congress doesn't act soon, it could be catastrophic for organizations who help families in need and veterans and military members who rely on government paychecks.
CBS 8's Abby Black is live inside the Feeding San Diego warehouse with the impact this is having on food banks. Abby?
Jesse and Marcella, CBS 8 is a proud partner with Feeding San Diego, and the volunteer shift, the 6 o'clock shift, just started. I'm going to step out of the way, and you can see that they are busy working into the night to make sure that no family goes hungry. But if they fear that if Congress doesn't act, that need could grow during a time when they face a drop in donations. As Feeding San Diego volunteers work to move and unload pallets of produce, they may have a hard time refilling shelves if Congress doesn't come up with a plan to pay its bills.
This could be just catastrophic on top of what hunger relief organizations have already been facing with drops in donations because of inflation.
Carissa Casars works for Feeding San Diego and says while donations have gone down, meal distributions have not. Pre-pandemic, they say volunteers packed 26 million meals in 2019. Last year, it was 35 million meals. For families who rely on government paychecks, such as veterans and active duty military, they may be forced to turn to food banks for help.
You see avocados and watermelon and, just fresh produce. And yeah, we may have to provide less of that to people if we're seeing a huge spike in people coming to our food distributions.
The Armed Services of YMCA has faced government shutdowns before. They sent CBS 8 a statement. In part, it says if it has to extend food pantry hours to support its military families, it will. All of this is happening during a time when pandemic funding ended for CalFresh recipients, which is the state's food stamp program. For some families, their monthly stipend went from $281 to just $23 a month.
This is the worst possible time for something like this to be happening to people who are working people just trying to put food on the table, keep their kids fed, going to school, and who might even be working multiple jobs to try to pay for some of this cost of living increase that's been going on in San Diego.
The food bank says despite this potential hardship, they're committed to moving around food and hope the government can move around enough money to help families overcome food insecurity.
And we really need the support of our government to help create, some stability.
Feeding San Diego says only about 5% of its funding comes from the government, so if a debt ceiling deal is not reached, it wouldn't impact their budget drastically. What they really need right now, Jesse, is donations.
The shutdown looming, donations are going to be critical at some point very soon, probably. So how can people help if they want to?
Jesse, the Feeding San Diego says what's really important is that monetary donations. They say that they can really stretch $1. Say a can of beans costs about $1.50, but if you were to donate just $1, that would provide 2 meals. So to learn more about donations and how you can volunteer with Feeding San Diego, go to our website, cbs8.com. Jesse?
All right, Abby Black live for us tonight. Abby, thank you. Coming up next, don't be fooled.
Our Verified team shows you how to spot fake AI-generated content online.
We saw some sunshine by the afternoon hours for most of the county, but hey, here come the clouds again. Will that happen again tomorrow or this weekend? All those details coming up.